Tyrone Bowman live. Welcome to the program. Let's talk about it. It's called The Prison Business, the Correction Corporations of America. Within the United States of America, privatization of prisons is a $1 billion plus year industry. Many individuals don't understand why there's so much talk about prisons and detention centers. It's because the investors behind the scenes are people that you would never expect. Now, I'm not saying that prisons should not be built, and I'm not saying that individuals who commit heinous crimes should not be punished. But the prison business is a huge business. And don't think for one moment that those who are involved in building prisons aren't profiting as well. According to the Christian Science Monitor, the headline reads as, quote, Alligator Alcatraz, end quote, opens detention centers quietly expand across the United States. President Donald Trump made a visit Tuesday to mark the opening of a controversial immigrant detention site in Florida that officials have dubbed, quote, Alligator Alcatraz, underscoring the administration's commitment to expanding its mass deportation campaign through a variety of partnerships. Now, that word partnerships, you have to pay close attention. They're not partnerships, those are investors. Private investors who are profiting off of the misery and suffrage of individuals who are incarcerated. Quote, this facility is exactly what I want every single governor in this country to consider doing with us, close quote, said Homeland Security Secretary Kristi Noem in Florida with the president on Tuesday. The Alligator Alcatraz site is one of an array of unorthodox ways in which the Trump administration and supportive states are looking to square a rise in the number of immigrants arrested with limited space to hold people while they await court proceedings or deportation. The effort raises questions about how many new detention facilities are being built across the U.S. and what the long-term effect of such projects will be. The Trump administration has set an aggressive target of arresting 3,000 unauthorized immigrants a day, according to media reports, and the Department of Homeland Security has a declared goal of 1 million deportations per year. As a result, Immigration and Customs Enforcement, known as ICE, has needed to rapidly expand detention capabilities, including by increasing partnerships, private investors with state governments and private prison companies. Like I said at the beginning, it's called Correction Corporations of America, or the Prison Industrial Complex. This is a massive economic boom that has been profiting and making people rich. Celebrities are investors, entertainers are investors, sitting politicians and past politicians are investors in privatization of prisons. So what is Alligator Alcatraz? Well, it's the concept of Florida's Governor Ron DeSantis. Florida Attorney General James Untermeyer proposed the idea for the detention center in a June 19 video on X, nodding to the famous Alcatraz prison near San Francisco, now a museum. The Florida Detention Center is based at an old airport facility, and the site is bordered by the waters of the Everglades, which are home to alligators and pythons. Mr. Untermeyer called the plan a, quote, an efficient, low-cost opportunity to build a temporary detention facility, end quote, and said he received approval for the plan from DHS. Florida is pursuing a hardline immigration enforcement campaign in support of President Trump's agenda. Well, that's where it starts. It all starts as something being temporary. This is not temporary, ladies and gentlemen. This is permanent. And what a lot of people don't realize, they think it's a game, they think it's a joke until it happens to someone that you know. Someone near you, could be a friend, could be a neighbor. But as long as it's happened to black and brown people, everything is okay. Florida Governor Ron DeSantis authorized the construction under emergency powers. The state quickly built up the site using heavy-duty tents and trailers. Secretary Norm said the site, which will be managed by the state of Florida, will have around 3,000 beds with 2,000 at another location. In February, Governor DeSantis directed state law enforcement to enter into new agreements with ICE following Florida officers to perform specific immigration functions like detaining individuals until ICE can take custody. So this is profitability all the way around. That means correctional officers, or whatever they want to call themselves, they'll be making big time money because they have to work overtime. And those who are not working have an opportunity. Those who come from service-oriented people, and they will selectively choose what type of individuals they will allow to work in the prisons. DHS says the site will cost Florida about $450 million for 1 year, and that the state can submit reimbursement requests to the Federal Emergency Management Agency. So that means people can't pay their rent, people can't pay their gas, people getting thrown off of food stamps, people's Medicare and health insurance is being taken away. But the state of Florida can submit reimbursement requests to the Federal Emergency and Management Agency known as FEMA. The same agency that they said that will not help people in times of emergency. Protesters lined streets outside a virtually abandoned airstrip in Florida on June 28th to oppose the official opening. Many cited environmental concerns and potentially poor conditions for the immigrants held there. The Mikulski and Seminole tribes also consider the land sacred. Florida Representative Maxwell Frost, a Democrat, called the facility a cruel spectacle intended to brutalize, starve, and harm immigrants. Environmentalists have sued to stop the plan. The question is, how is ICE expanding detention centers to meet deportation goals? Well, Congress has currently allotted funding for over 40,000 detention beds. According to the American Immigration Council, the tax and spending bill Republicans in Congress are scrambling to pass by July 4, and it has already passed, could increase ICE's annual detention spending by billions and is expected to significantly expand its detention capacity. ICE has legal authority to detain people who are either in removal proceedings or face removal orders. Detention requirements were expanded under the Lincoln Riley Act, passed earlier this year, requiring officials to detain individuals arrested for certain crimes, even if they are not yet convicted. Options for detention include partnering with state and local governments. ICE is also expanding no-bid contracts. Listen. No bid contracts, meaning guaranteed contracts, with private prison companies to free up more detention space in places like Burlington, Massachusetts. A number of detainees have been held for days at a time in an ICE field office that's normally used for administrative work. According to local news reports, ICE did not respond to requests for clarification. Ira Melkman, media director at the Conservative Federation for American Immigration Reform, supports the role of detention facilities. If you're going to have any meaningful way of actually expecting deportation orders, then you have to keep people detained so you're sure that they can be removed, quote, close quote, he says. So, what are the conditions like, or what are they going to be like in these centers? The spike in ICE arrests has led to widespread complaints of overcrowding in detention centers, including allegations of unsanitary and sometimes unsafe conditions. In Burlington, lawyers told local media their clients lacked access to showers and sufficient food. DHS says claims of overcrowding in ICE facilities are false, and that ICE has higher quality standards for its facilities than most U.S. detention spaces. Conditions for detained immigrants have always been bad, says Eunice Cho, a senior staff attorney at the ACLU National Prison Project, but she says they've gotten worse under the second Trump administration. Let me tell you something for a second. See, I know what's true and I know what's false in these reports. I did 10 years in 4 different state penitentiaries for crimes that never happened, and nobody cared. And that's why I decided to become a lawyer, to advocate and fight for people who are falsely accused of crimes. And I know firsthand what these CEOs are like. I know firsthand what the administrators who run these prisons are like. I know firsthand about the deplorable conditions that prisons are in. So you can't fool the kid. Immigrants are in civil detention. They are not serving time for criminal offenses, says Ms. Cho. Placing them in prisons is basically subjecting people to unconstitutional punishment. As of June 15, there were 56,397 individuals in ICE detention, the most since a previous high during the first Trump era, reports Austin Culture, a researcher at Syracuse University. Just over half, 54% of those detainees had criminal convictions or pending criminal charges. The rest were immigration violators who did not have criminal convictions or charges known to ICE, according to the agency. So what kind of oversight do these detention centers have? Each ICE detention center, they say, is governed by internal standards that encompass food, service, medical care, and availability of legal materials, meaning they do whatever they want to do. ICE conditions internal inspections of its detention facilities, which are usually pronounced. DHS Inspector General also conducts unannounced visits. I don't believe a word of it. Others who can conduct inspections include the Government Accountability Office and members of Congress. Congressional oversight was put in the spotlight in May when a confrontation broke out as a group of Democratic officials tried to inspect a recently reopened ICE detention center in Newark, New Jersey. Newark Mayor Ras Baraka was asked by federal officials to leave after he had entered through the gate. Federal agents then arrested him. The New Jersey U.S. Attorney's Office dropped the charges 10 days later. A federal grand jury subsequently indicted New Jersey Representative LaMonica McIver, who was also at the facility on criminal charges for allegedly striking federal officials at the scene. Representative McIver has called the proceeding a, quote, political intimidation, close quote. Legally, members of Congress are authorized to conduct oversight by ICE facilities used to detain migrants without providing prior notice of the intent to enter. It's enormously important to be able to provide short notice visits to facilities, to be able to capture the actual human rights violations that are occurring, says Holly Cooper, co-director of the Immigration Law Clinic at UC Davis School of Law, because with notice comes clean up, comes transferring of people, quote, close quote. As of January 2025, 86% of ICE detainees were held in facilities run by for-profit entities. I told you at the beginning of this video, it's called the Prison Industrial Complex, or the Corrections Corporation of America, where private investors and even on the stock market, they can invest and buy stock in the CCC. This is not a game. This is about making money. I repeat, this is not a game. This is about making money. And rich people, billionaires, will do anything to stay rich. Both have signed new detention facility contracts with ICE since Mr. Trump's inauguration. And listen, and stock prices for each soared in the days after Mr. Trump was elected. So you think I don't know what I'm talking about? I know exactly what I'm talking about. That's why on this channel, I don't come here to play. I'm about serious business. Government cooperation with private prison companies isn't new. Tens of thousands of immigrants were held in private detention centers under both the Obama and Biden administrations, although both also pursued policies to phase out contrast with private prisons. That's a lot in one video. So I'll be talking. I'm looking for information regarding what's happening with the Shawn Diddy Combs trial, and if I have any late breaking news, I'll bring it to you. Never surrender, never quit.